Um, yes and no. I mean, there are also movies that took off from The Lion King and Titanic. Titanic had another movie come out after that called Titanic 2, based on the same story.
Same premise, yeah.
It was basically the 100th anniversary was supposed to be it. The ship took off on the same course, built the same ship basically again, with a little bit better technology.
Right.
Hit the same iceberg, went down because all the same problems happened, and it was pretty much a remake of the Titanic.
Now, here's, I think my personal feeling of why they redid Titanic, and I know I apologize, this isn't 2012, but I think it fits. Titanic, I think for years, what was it, 97 it came out? For years, until Avatar came out, Titanic was the top gross movie of all time.
Right.
But Avatar beat it. So I think the reasoning, at least in my opinion, was bring back Titanic, put it in 3D to beat out Avatar and make it the highest gross movie again. Because, I mean, there's egos involved. It has to be. I mean, this was a classic movie, and then all of a sudden this Smurfs action-adventure movie beats it out. So I think that's what had to do with it, to bring back Titanic, to beat it out and make it the top gross movie of all time again.
Right, which could be it, but, you know, I still am very upset they would go and redo it in 3D. Granted, you know, they could always go back and make a Britannica one or the Olympic ships, which were both sister ships of Titanic. Both had pretty much the same technology and went down in different ways. I mean, the Britannica was a savior ship that went out to get people who were injured in the war, to go get them and bring them back to take care of them. It was taken down by a mine or a torpedo. They're not quite sure, but they're pretty sure it's a mine.
Right.
And it sank. And what's awesome about that is the girl, one of them who survived the Titanic, survived the Britannica.
I don't know what that says about her.
Exactly.
But,
You want to know something awesome, though? You know how the Titanic people froze and died and drowned and whatnot? The people who died on the Britannica, I think there was 30-something who died. They died by the propeller. When their lifeboat was going down, the propeller chopped them up.
Okay, real quick.
Moving on.
Yeah. Great discussion. Find out next time. We'll get there, but we're going to have a future episode about 3D movies. I think that's going to be a lot more in-depth than what we're talking about now. Real quick, I'm going to go through the top 5 top gross movies of 2011. You ready?
Yes.
Number 5, which came in with a $665,692,281. You want to take a guess? No. Kung Fu Panda 2. I think stars Jack Black, if I'm not mistaken. Have you ever seen any of the Kung Fu Pandas?
I see the TV show.
Right,
yeah.
Moving on. This one you might know. Which grossed, number 4, $701,288,438. And that was Breaking Dawn of the Twilight series. You've seen that? Anything to add to that?
I think this is the best one that they've made out of this series. Yeah, I think what they need to do, though, is take Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson out of it. Because they're just terrible actors.
I've never seen the movies, so...
The first one was terrible. There was no plot, really, and neither was the second one. Both did not have a plot.
And there's a second one, I believe, right? Coming in November?
Yes, Breaking Dawn 2.
This is the last one?
Right, yes.
Do you ever think there's going to be maybe... Not, because all these are based off the book, right? They're books?
Yes, there are 4 books, and the last one is just Breaking Dawn.
Right.
Which they separated into different parts. They had Bella speaking what she went through for the first couple chapters, and they went to Jacob's view, which what I think happened was they combined Jacob and Bella's, those first 2, into one movie, and then went to Bella for the second one.
Do you think, because these are all based on books, do you think whoever the studios that made these are going to make their own movie? Like a 5th one, or even a spin-off of these series, do you think?
I think Summit makes them, and to be quite honest, I've read all the books, and the ending of the 4th one, I don't think
there's a
really
way to bring
leads.
it back.
I mean, they could, But it ended. Everything ended.
Right. Like the ending makes it there's impossible for them to bring him back.
Which they could. But they also were talking about Stephenie Meyer made another book.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all of Edward's view, what he went through.
Do you think with the Twilight going out, do you think Hunger Games going to take over? Because that's what they say.
I hope so. I hope so. I think
That's
Hunger Games was much better. I liked that one. I will definitely be rooting for it.
Because there has to be more in that series.
Oh, yeah.
It's been so popular.
It's the Hunger Games. I think the next one is called The Mockingjay, which was brought up in the Hunger Games movie itself.
Great discussion on Twilight and Hunger Games. Number 3 was actually a movie we talked about here today, which grossed $1,043,871,802. And that was Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. That's number 3. Number 2, which had $1,123,746,996, which was the third Transformers movie, which I forget the subtitle of it, but it's the third one. Starring, I believe Shia LaBeouf is in it, right?
Yes, I think it's still Shia. I think he is stopping the whole Transformers things. I think it's Dark Side of the Moon.
Dark Side of the Moon, that's right. I knew it was a dark something. Is there a fourth one coming out? Do we know?
I believe so, and I believe Shia said no. So they're having a new lead for that. Obviously, Megan was taken over as well.
Megan Fox, yeah, I forget you. And number 1, which came in at a whopping $1,328,111,219. And that was the final Harry Potter movie, right? That was the last one. Harry Potter?
Yes.
Yes, that was the final one, which... Big Surprise was the most grossing movie of the year.
Well, you have the Harry Potter diehard fans, so...
Right, who wanted to see it.
Right, they read all the books, cried every tear they could over everything.
Bringing back to the Twilight thing, do you think the last Twilight movie that comes out in November, do you think, because right now Hunger Games is the top gross movie of 2012, do you think Breaking Dawn Part 2 is going to overstep that, or do you think...
No. I think that the last time I've gone to see all these movies at the midnight appearing, and the last Twilight movie, Breaking Dawn Part 1, my theater literally had maybe 15 people, max. And you have to remember, back when Eclipse and New Moon were coming out, these things were packed. They had multiple theaters all set up for this one movie, packed full. And people had to wait until the next day because they couldn't get tickets.
And I think that goes back to what we were talking about an overbearing franchise of getting too many movies into, one span of time. Right. Because Twilight came out, the first one, 2008-ish, maybe?
Yes.
And then
New
Moon was like a
just
year.
In high school.
Then New Moon came out, a year or two after?
Nope.
Or when did it come out?
One of them came out in November 21st of 2008, I think it was. And then the next one came out in June 20...
Oh, so a couple months later.
Like 6 months later. And then another one came out in...
That next November, which was the fourth one. No. Anyways, they were all...
It was the third one. There's going to be 5 total.
Really?
But anyway, yes.
Twilight, New Moon, Eclipse.
Breaking Dawn Part 1,
yes.
yes.
Yeah, okay.
I'm pretty sure one came out in mid-June, July.
But you said the first 3 were packed. I think that goes back to the franchise where you're overbearing your fan base.
That's why they were so bad. Because they didn't really have any plot. They didn't follow the storyline the way that they're supposed to.
But movies do that to books, too. They don't
Which
follow
is
the
terrible.
storyline.
The only ones they never really did to were the Harry Potter ones, because you had these fans that would get angry, would not show up and spend all that money. If the fans knew that they weren't going to follow the books, they wouldn't go watch them. Why do you think they're not going to watch the Twilight movies? It doesn't follow everything.
Do you think the characters in Twilight have a fan following like Harry Potter characters?
Do they have a what?
Like a dedicated fan following?
No.
Do you think that's why Harry Potter, say, was better than Twilight? Even though they're completely 2 different kind of movies.
Yes.
It's just they have character, because you hear a bunch about Harry Potter, about Jacob, about all the characters that you can just say the first name of and you'll know it. But do you think the Harry Potter characters are much more prominent than they are the other 3 in Twilight?
Well, you have to consider this. no offense to anybody who likes Kristen Stewart, but I do not like her acting skills.
That's a future episode, by the way, worst actors later this season.